In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 college football games happening on October 28, 2023, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Houston versus Kansas State. This Saturday afternoon, the Big 12 brings us an exciting clash as the Houston Cougars hit the road to face the Kansas State Wildcats in their home territory. The Cougars are coming off a tight 31-24 loss at home against number 8 Texas, while Kansas State is riding high after a commanding 41-3 victory at home against TCU. Houston's season has been a roller coaster ride, with a 3-3 record through their first 6 games. During this stretch, they recorded wins over UTSA, Sam Houston, and West Virginia. Unfortunately, losses marred their record, with close calls against Rice, TCU, and Texas Tech. In their recent showdown with Texas, the Cougars faced an early 14-0 deficit but rallied to level the score. However, a questionable call late in the game cost them, resulting in a 31-24 loss. Quarterback Donovan Smith displayed his prowess with 378 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception, while Matthew Golden shone with 88 yards and 2 touchdowns from 7 receptions. Joseph Manjack contributed 88 receiving yards and a touchdown. On the Wildcats side, they boasted a 4-2 record in their first 6 games, with closely contested defeats against Missouri and Oklahoma State. However, they came out on top against Southeast Missouri State, Troy, UCF, and Texas Tech. In their recent match against TCU, Kansas State stormed out with 21 first-quarter points, eventually sealing a resounding 41-3 victory. Will Howard led the quarterback duties with 154 yards and 3 touchdowns, while Treshaun Ward recorded 89 rushing yards on 17 carries. Jace Brown was a key contributor with 88 yards and a touchdown on 4 receptions. Notably, Houston holds a 0-2 record both overall and against the spread on the road, while Kansas State boasts a perfect 4-0 record both overall and against the spread at home. Several crucial mismatches suggest that this trend will continue. Kansas State's potent offense, averaging nearly 500 yards and 37 points per game, is set to exploit Houston's defense, which allows opponents to average approximately 420 yards and 32 points per game. Expect the Wildcats' offense to capitalize frequently in front of their home crowd. Moreover, Kansas State's defense exhibited its strength last week, limiting TCU to just 3 points, a remarkable feat given that TCU amassed 300 yards but struggled to convert them into points. Houston is likely to have promising drives that stall out beyond the 50-yard line, leading to frequent field goal attempts and creating the necessary margin for Kansas State to cover the spread. While Houston's recent improvements are commendable, Kansas State has showcased their prowess at home this season. The Wildcats are a well-balanced team and are expected to face little difficulty in producing results against Houston on their home turf. Although the Cougars may put up a fight with their passing game, Kansas State's physicality might ultimately prove too much to handle. The initial line opened at 16.5 and has since moved up to 17.5, reflecting sharp action in favor of the Wildcats. So the Kansas State Wildcats to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. While Kansas State's offense is anticipated to shine and score with ease, our main interest lies in the matchup between Kansas State's defense and Houston's offense, which will be tasked with covering the remainder of the total. This discrepancy is the primary reason behind our under prediction. Kansas State's defense ranks favorably in several categories, particularly yards per play and rushing yards allowed. We expect Houston to struggle in the running game and, more importantly, to face difficulty sustaining drives. Although Kansas State's pass defense is not flawless, they will be able to allocate more resources to counter it, as Houston lacks a substantial ground attack, tallying a mere 14 rushing yards in their recent encounter with Texas. Furthermore, the strength of Kansas State's red zone defense will be evident as Houston contends to convert drives into points. The initial line opened at 60.5 and has since shifted 2 points downward to 58.5, indicating sharp action in favor of the under. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. South Carolina versus Texas Agricultural and Mechanical. This Saturday afternoon, all eyes turn to Kyle Field as the Texas Aggies play host to the South Carolina Gamecocks. The Gamecocks, who harbored high hopes for the season, find themselves grappling with 3 consecutive losses, desperately seeking a path to redemption. The Aggies, too, come into this contest hungry for a win following back-to-back losses. Although the Gamecocks secured victory in the previous season's encounter, the Aggies have historically asserted dominance with 9 consecutive wins. This matchup has blossomed into an intense Southeastern Conference rivalry that fans won't want to miss. The Gamecocks endured a challenging start to the season, emerging with a 2-4 record. However, it's essential to note that they faced formidable opponents during that period. Their wins were secured against Furman and Mississippi State, but they faced setbacks against North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, and Florida, with 3 of those 4 teams boasting national rankings. In their recent clash against Missouri, the Gamecocks found themselves confronting a daunting 24-3 halftime deficit, ultimately succumbing to a 34-12 defeat. Quarterback Spencer Rattler compiled 217 passing yards and an interception, while Mario Anderson spearheaded the rushing attack with 68 yards. Nick Harbor contributed 50 receiving yards from 2 catches, leading the receiving corps. On the Aggies side, their season has been marked by encounters with formidable opponents, yielding mixed results. The Aggies clinched victories against New Mexico, Louisiana Monroe, Auburn, and Arkansas. However, they faced defeats at the hands of Miami, Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee. In their recent clash against Tennessee on October 14th, the Aggies were within a single point at 14-13 as they entered the 4th quarter. However, they were unable to notch any further points on the scoreboard. Quarterback Max Johnson of the Texas Aggies contributed 223 yards through the air with 2 interceptions, while Le'Veon Moss led the rushing department with 62 yards from 15 carries. Noah Thomas emerged as the top receiver, accumulating 75 receiving yards from 3 receptions. In this game, the Texas Aggies encounters one of the Southeastern Conference's weakest defensive teams. The Aggies' performance against a formidable Tennessee team in their previous outing was commendable, even though they struggled with 11 penalties and 2 turnovers. Notably, the rushing game was a significant offensive challenge, with the Volunteers outgaining the Aggies 232-54 on the ground. However, the Aggies offense is expected to find better footing in this encounter, having scored 27 or more points in 5 of their 7 games this season. As for South Carolina, they managed to accumulate 20 or more points in 4 of their last 6 games, demonstrating an ability to move the ball effectively when the need arises. Nevertheless, they may encounter challenges surmounting the rested Aggies defense. The Texas Aggies are beginning to establish offensive cohesion, and against South Carolina's struggling defense, they are anticipated to move the ball more efficiently than in previous encounters. South Carolina is likely to miss one of their primary receiving threats, potentially complicating their task, particularly against the formidable Texas Aggies defense. The Gamecocks have failed to cover the spread in their last 3 games, while the Aggies have covered the spread in 4 of their last 5 meetings. The Texas Aggies hold a considerable advantage on both sides of the ball, especially on the defensive front. Offensively, the Aggies are ranked 42nd nationally, while the Gamecocks lag behind at 81st. On the defensive front, Texas Aggies' unit is highly formidable, securing the 33rd spot nationally, while South Carolina's defense languishes as the 114th ranked unit in the country. This contest presents a prime opportunity for Texas Aggies to rebound after 2 Southeastern Conference losses. The Texas Aggies to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Spencer Rattler's senior season hasn't unfolded as anticipated, and this matchup could potentially add to his woes. South Carolina has grappled with challenges in Southeastern Conference play, facing the risk of a 4th consecutive loss. Jimbo Fisher, the Aggies head coach, will likely have his squad well prepared to rebound and avoid a 3rd consecutive loss. The prospect of a hostile Aggie crowd during homecoming adds an extra dimension that could lead to another loss for South Carolina. While South Carolina's offense has managed to boost scoring totals in some of their games this season, the same might not hold true in this encounter. The Gamecocks may have to contend without one of their key scoring threats in the receiving department while facing an elite defense, particularly considering their struggles with the running game. With injuries affecting the quarterback position, the Aggies have seen a decline in their offensive output, making the prospect of a high-scoring affair appear challenging in this matchup. The under has been a common outcome in 5 of the last 7 meetings between these 2 teams, and it is likely to be the case once again. Anticipate a strong defensive performance from the Texas Aggies at home. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Clemson versus NC State. A thrilling Atlantic Coast Conference clash unfolds at Carter-Finley Stadium as the NC State Wolfpack welcome the Clemson Tigers on Saturday afternoon. This season, Clemson appears to have taken a step back, facing a loss and hovering near a .500 win-loss record. In contrast, NC State carries a 4-3 record into this contest but has encountered losses in 2 of their last 3 games. Historically, Clemson has dominated this series, winning 9 of the last 10 encounters. Nonetheless, NC State sees this as a golden opportunity to break the shackles of their past struggles. Atlantic Coast Conference enthusiasts won't want to miss this showdown. Clemson had entered the season with high hopes, enjoying a top 10 ranking. However, their struggles materialized early with an opening game loss. While they've secured 4 wins, these victories have come against teams unlikely to reach bowl games or land in the top half of the Atlantic Coast Conference standings. Last week's heartbreak against Miami raises questions about how Dabo Swinney plans to reinvigorate his team. The road ahead doesn't get any smoother, with Notre Dame looming as their next opponent. Clemson desperately aims to avoid entering that game with a 2-game losing streak. 2 years ago, NC State pulled off an upset, and the current state of Clemson's team suggests that history might repeat itself. Clemson faces added challenges, with several players nursing injuries. Their most recent injury report lists 7 players, and the absence of safety R.J. Mickens, a leader in the secondary, could be a significant concern. Furthermore, a pair of receivers remain sidelined, compounding the offensive issues. Clemson, once a feared offensive powerhouse in the Atlantic Coast Conference, has struggled to find its stride this season, ranking 44th in total offense. Their ground game has been inconsistent, which could prove problematic against NC State's sturdy defense. While Will Shipley brings experience to the backfield, much attention will be focused on the development of quarterback Cade Klubnik. Although Klubnik boasts sufficient numbers, the offense needs to open up more for him to truly shine. Clemson's defense must focus on stopping the run, as the secondary is well equipped to handle NC State's passing attack. Despite playing at home, NC State enters this game as slight underdogs, with the oddsmakers seemingly undervaluing them, even though they share an identical record with Clemson. NC State has struggled to make the most of their home field advantage this season, as evidenced by a 21-point loss to Duke 2 weeks ago. The team must prove its mettle against another Atlantic Coast Conference powerhouse. Despite recruiting some promising talent in the offseason, NC State's offense has faced challenges, while the defense has borne the brunt of the workload. Going up against a Clemson team brimming with talent on both sides of the field is bound to be a formidable test, especially considering the historical lopsidedness of this matchup. NC State's injury report is notably shorter than Clemson's, with only 3 players in question, including tight end Trent Penix, whose involvement in the offense has been limited with just 11 catches this season. Brennan Armstrong's arrival at NC State was expected to have a more significant impact than what has transpired this season. The team has struggled to generate explosive plays in the passing game, and Armstrong, who leads the team in rushing, highlights the lack of depth on the offensive front. Nationally, NC State ranks 99th in total offense and sits at 112th in yards per play. Their defense ranks 36th nationally, and much will hinge on linebacker Peyton Wilson, one of the nation's leading tacklers, to make his presence felt. Clemson, coming off a tough loss to Miami and now playing on the road for the 2nd consecutive game, faces a true test of their young quarterback and team's ability to respond to adversity. Earlier in the season, they faced a similar challenge against a strong Florida State team, losing in overtime. In response, they defeated previously undefeated Syracuse 31-14 on the road, covering the 7.5-point spread. Despite criticism from their head coach regarding the decision-making in the final play against Miami last week, expect Clemson's quarterback, Cade Klubnik, to regain his confidence and lead an efficient offense. NC State's offense has faced considerable challenges in their recent matchups against Atlantic Coast Conference heavyweights Duke and Louisville, managing to score only 1 touchdown in those games. They scored a combined total of 13 points in those contests. Overall, they have displayed an efficiency with a 36% third down conversion rate. Clemson's 7th-ranked defense is poised to create problems for NC State's freshman quarterback. Additionally, in their previous meeting with Clemson last year, NC State was limited to just 34 rushing yards. The return of 8 defensive starters for Clemson from that game further bolsters their defensive credentials. While NC State frequently rotates 4 different running backs to keep them fresh, this approach may prevent any one back from establishing a rhythm for success. Consequently, NC State's scoring opportunities are expected to be limited, much much like their 20 points in last year's clash with Clemson. Clemson may not be vying for an Atlantic Coast Conference title, but they enter this game with a strong desire to prove themselves after their disheartening loss to Miami last week. If they had emerged victorious in that contest, they might have been accused of underestimating NC State, with their focus fixed on the Notre Dame game. However, the Miami loss has fueled their determination, and they will enter this game with a thirst for victory. While NC State might seem like an attractive underdog, the major issue is their offensive struggles throughout the season, regardless of the quarterback they've fielded. Clemson has been disappointing, but Cade Klubnik and the offense have shown promise. Therefore, despite Clemson's misfortunes, they are better equipped to capitalize on this encounter. Expect the Tigers to reclaim their identity in this matchup and secure a victory over NC State by a double-digit margin. So the Clemson Tigers to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The bookmakers have set a reasonable total for this game. The crux of this line lies in the inefficiency of NC State's offense. The young quarterback of the Wolfpack is poised to face his most challenging game of the season against a motivated Clemson squad. Anticipate limited scoring opportunities for NC State in this game, particularly in light of their recent offensive struggles, as seen against Louisville and Duke. Clemson is expected to generate points in this game. Their lineup boasts talented playmakers in various positions, granting them a substantial advantage over NC State. Nevertheless, over their last 3 games, Clemson has averaged around 22 points. While they might exceed that average in this matchup, it won't be a significant deviation. Moreover, Clemson's struggle with fumbles and a 50% field goal conversion rate suggests that their overall scoring may be limited. Clemson has faced challenges in the red zone, and going up against one of the better defenses they'll encounter this season, they are likely to encounter similar difficulties. NC State's offensive struggles further complicate their chances of putting up a high score. Clemson's tenacious defense will exacerbate these challenges. Clemson has failed to cover the spread in their last 3 games and 3 of their last 4, indicating potential concerns for how they'll navigate this final stretch of the season. Additionally, Brennan Armstrong's experience as a quarterback and his ability to impact the game with his mobility should enable the Wolfpack to control the clock in a manner that Clemson hasn't encountered this season. Historically, these two teams' previous matchups have generated high-scoring games. The fact that bookmakers have set a lower total for this game suggests that there is value in betting on the under. This game brings together two teams that pride themselves on their defensive prowess, and it is likely to be one of the lower-scoring contests of the weekend. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.